In this video, we're going to set up a brand new development machine for being able to install and run DNN. This also is some of the same steps that you would do in a web server environment if you so desire. The first thing that we're going to want to do is download and install the .NET framework. You can use your favorite search engine to find it, and you'll end up on a page that looks like this. Go ahead and install the most recent one, and it'll install all the other ones as necessary as well. So for doing development, you might end up wanting to get the developer pack as well, but we're not talking about development right now. We're just talking about getting this up and running. So I'm going to save the file, and because this is a brand new machine, it's just defaulting to downloads, and here it is right here. Now, whenever we download things from the internet, sometimes they get blocked, and so you might want to right-click on it and choose Properties and go to the Unblock checkbox to make sure that nothing gets missed during the installation. Let's run it. So it's just a standard install process. I accepted the terms, and I'm allowing it to install now. So that took about 5 minutes, and we're all done with that. And you're going to need to restart at this point. So we'll be right back. Now that we've rebooted, now would be a good time to run Windows Update. Doing that after this step, it will ensure that all the next steps have the necessary updates to be as successful as possible. So we just use the Start menu, go to Settings, choose Updates and Security, and then we'll uninstall our updates. Next, we'll need to install IIS, so that's Internet Information Services. So that allows us to run websites from our Windows machine. In order to do that, we'll want to go to the Control Panel. And from here, we're going to turn Windows features on or off. Next, let's add roles and features. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. We're going to leave this as the default. Choose the current server if necessary. And from here, we'll want to install Web Server, IIS. It's going to ask you whether or not you want to install the snap-in console, and we do. Let's click Next. Now we have the opportunity to select various features for IIS to run. If you need to support older applications, you can go ahead and select the .NET Framework 3.5 features. From there, you can just step through to see if there's anything else you absolutely need. But I'm going to make sure I can run .NET Core and everything else, since I'm probably going to be using this machine later. Alright, I'm going to click Next. Now it's going to install it. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not going to install until after I select these optional features. So most of what you need is going to be already selected by default. As I'm going through this, you might want to have dynamic content compression enabled for performance sake, but it's not required. Let's see here, what else we got? If you want, you can enable basic authentication, and if you know you need anything else, feel free to check them, but you only want to check the things that are absolutely necessary. If I expand application development, we'll probably want, oops, not that one. Oh, actually, that's fine. We'll want to enable .NET, and whenever you enable one of these that you know you need, if it says it needs to add these other things, go ahead and do that. And from there, it looks like everything's good. So we just enabled the .NET 3.5 and 4.6, and basic authentication and dynamic content compression. Everything else was already selected for us. And if the server needs to be rebooted, we're going to go ahead and select that. So I'm going to now finish the installation. This will take a few minutes. At this point, you see that IIS has installed. It took, I don't know, 5-10 minutes. We can just go ahead and close this and go to the next step. Our next step is going to be to install SQL Server. For development, you can just download a free version. So if we come in here, oops, I'm scrolling a bit fast. So we can do free developer editions for our development environment. And so we can just save this somewhere. And again, we'll want to make sure that we unblock this. So here it is right here. Unblock. And now we can run it. We'll go ahead and say yes. So I'm going to do custom, and we're going to go to install, and it's going to get our download packages that are going to be used for install. So all we did is get the installer. We don't actually have the setup files. This will take just a minute. Alright, here we go. So this is our normal installation and experience. So I'm going to choose installation, and we're going to, where is it at? New, upgrade, install, nope, install SQL. Oh, here we go. New SQL Server standalone installation or add features to an existing installation. So here's our free edition, so we don't have to put in a product key. And we're going to accept the terms. Now it's going to make sure that it can indeed be installed on this machine. Alright, so we're getting a warning about the Windows firewall. That probably is not going to be an issue in most environments, so you can generally ignore that. And so let's go with next. So we definitely want the database engine. And the cool thing about this particular install experience is that when you choose one of these, you don't have to necessarily check it, but you can read what it is to figure out if you need it. But we don't need much to run, so we can make sure that if you want to be able to connect between servers, we can check that, but we definitely want the database engine services because that's exactly what we need. Sometimes you might want the client tools compatibility, backwards compatibility. Sometimes you might want the software development kit. Just depends on what you're trying to do. So I'm going to add client tools for this environment because I'm going to need them. And I think that's basically it. Some people might need analysis services or something like that, or full text for search if you're doing some advanced things. But this is really it. So we could have probably just gotten away with just the database. All right. Next. All right. So now we can just do a default instance, and most of you will probably do that. I never do that just because I almost always end up with multiple instances of SQL Server, and then over time you might install a new one, right? And there might be a new one coming around the corner, and then you need to install that. And now sometimes it's not a name instance, and sometimes it is. So I always call it whatever it is. So in this case, it's Microsoft SQL Server 2019. And then if I tab, it'll change the instance ID as well. And so I'm going to click Next. Alright, so there's nothing really to be done here. If you need a more advanced installation or need to customize this, feel free, but we can just click Next. And now we definitely want to enable mixed mode for ASP.NET development, so that way we can log in with both Windows accounts and non-Windows accounts. In some cases you can get away with not doing that, but that's completely up to you and how your environment is meant to be set up. So I'm going to give it an SA password. Make sure it's something that you can remember or you can document it somewhere secure. Oops, that one didn't work out. There we go. And then we'll need to specify a SQL Server administrator. So generally you just add the current user, whoever you are, and then we can move to next. Oop. Oh, okay. So my password did not meet the minimum security requirements, and now it does. All right, so now it's given a summary of everything that we decided to do, but it hasn't set up anything yet. The next step is to do just that. So we're going to click Install. And here it goes. This will take several minutes, so we'll be right back. So after a few minutes, everything goes through and it's finished. Now it's saying that we need to restart, and we're going to go ahead and do that. And then we're going to do, I would recommend running your Windows Update one more time. So again, we'll be right back. All right, we rebooted, and I'm going to run Windows Update one final time. We should see some updates pending. And then following this, we'll be ready to actually install DNN, which will be in another video. And I'll be sure to put that video in the link in the description of this video. And that one link back to this one. Well, looks like SQL Server had pulled in the most recent updates, so we don't have to worry about that. The only thing we need to check on is whether or not, looks like we have to maybe install SQL Server Management Studio. Okay, so while that's going, we're going to do that now. So let's go look for it. And I'm just going to go short form SSMS. I already typed it once. Oh, do it again. And here it is right here. So I'm going to download SQL Server Management Studio. So this is an application that allows you to manage local and any other SQL Server database instance that you are able to connect to. So this is a very simple download, install. So it's very typical to pretty much any other app, whereas some of this other stuff is a little bit more involved, obviously. So now the download is done, so we're going to unblock it and run it. Here we go. We'll just install it. It's a very straightforward install. So it's been about 3 or 4 minutes and it's almost done. Some of these installation pieces are going faster than it actually does, just because I'm cutting that out of this video, as well as I'm on a machine that's in the cloud, so the downloads go much faster as well. But now we've installed our final prerequisite, so it says restart is required, so we're going to go ahead and do that. And that's going to really be the end of this video. So we'll see you in the next one, and thank you for watching.